Hey everybody, I'm Gary Palmer Jr., you're you, and together, welcome to Minting Coins. So we haven't had a show in a couple days, and we're lacking a little bit of video right now since we have some technical difficulties, and we just don't have the proper equipment to really be running a YouTube channel. Yet there's so much important news, so much important happening, so much important movement in the markets that we just have to bring this information to you. We have to talk about what is happening. We have to review what is going on in the world of Bitcoin blockchain technology, including what is happening on CoinMarketCap.com. And so over here at CoinMarketCap.com, we're living in a world that is now without SegWit 2X. It might be with SegWit 2X, but we definitely have Bitcoin. And as everybody is noticing today, we have Bitcoin Cash, which is up to over $1,339 per Bitcoin Cash, and it has skyrocketed 41.5% change in the past 24 hours. So what's going on here? What's happening in the space? What's going on with SegWit 2X? What's going on with Bitcoin Cash? There is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt happening within the market, and I am sorry to say that today's video might, while it may add a lot of light onto the situation, it is not going to help in terms of creating total clarity of the situation, because there are so many pieces that are interconnected, and it seems as if everyone is a good guy and everyone is a bad guy, and somewhere in between we are stuck in the middle of not necessarily knowing what is going on. So I suppose starting off with the Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin has been decreasing steadily, 3.5% from where it was, highs around $8,000 per Bitcoin price, and the Bitcoin Cash increasing. What's going on here is that a lot of the, over $5 billion trading in Bitcoin, $5 billion trading in Bitcoin Cash. There's a lot of Bitcoin being traded into Bitcoin Cash, and then a lot of Bitcoin Cash, and all these altcoins that are seeping into all of these other altcoins right down the line. And particularly in the top of the list, we have Ethereum Classic, which we have the ETC Summit coming up in Hong Kong in just a couple days. A lot of exciting news coming out around Ethereum Classic, but really eclipsing the news with Ethereum Classic is all of this FUD, this fear, uncertainty, and doubt with Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and the like. So I suppose checking out Bitcoin Cash and seeing what's happening in here, we've increased here on this tab here. We got about 40% up in the past 24 hours. We see this hockey sticking from its previous jump, and then hockey sticking up from where it went from that. If we click into the markets and take a peek around the market, see what's going on, we see that over 36% of all of this Bitcoin Cash trading is happening over at BitThumb. And BitThumb is I believe it's a South Korean Bitcoin exchange, and that's where the majority of all the action is happening. If we click over to BitThumb over at CoinMarketCap.com, we can see that over 63% of all the activity is from BitThumb is happening for Bitcoin Cash. So there's some major focus, some major concentration of influence in the Bitcoin Cash space. It's not equally distributed. It's really focused on investors and traders coming out of South Korea and this one particular South Korean exchange. Out of all of these different exchanges that are trading Bitcoin Cash, I mean, this list goes on and on. What do we have here? 120 different exchanges that are trading Bitcoin Cash based on one currency or another. And we have 36%. This number was higher earlier. So it's a vast majority, $2 billion. The second runner-up would be Bitfinex at almost 13.8%. And so we just see that it's not equally distributed. There's a lot happening focused around BitThumb. So I suppose, with all this happening with Bitcoin Cash, a lot of people really focus on the Bitcoin Cash and not just the Bitcoin Cash, but the Bitcoin name. And so where we are at is that where we were with the previous market cap going north of 200 billion, that's receded a little bit since we had previously been talking about it. Yet the total market cap is still over 200 billion, still above 0.2 trillion, and the Bitcoin dominance has drawn down from 62% down to 52.5%. And what is happening? A lot of this Bitcoin money, this Bitcoin wealth that has been flowing into the space, maybe anticipation of the SegWit 2X, maybe in anticipation of the news, and maybe with the fear of missing out, people wanting to be inside the Bitcoin space. And now that money is flowing in other areas. There was the SegWit 2X situation which got canceled. And so we have Vinny Lingham over here saying that, what was he saying? He's saying that the Bitcoin-SegWit 2X was going to be canceled, and then he tweeted out that it seemed as if there's going to be a competing group of folks who are going to continue on the Bitcoin-SegWit 2X hard fork anyway. Let's see, what was that tweet I was looking for? All right, so we have this article here, or not this article, but this one email here where it's a group of miners who said that regardless of what the other people had said, that they're going to be continuing to move forward with the SegWit 2X. And so this is breathing life and keeping life into the SegWit 2X possibility. And you know, what's happening is that with these forks, when these forks are happening, they just don't die, right? And so we have things like the Trump coin, which still exists. We have the Nicolas Cage coin with Cage coins like that. We have Max Kaiser with a Max Kaiser Max coin. These coins, they don't go away once these coins are created. We have the Doge coin. I love Doge, but people have been trying to kill it for a long time. Doge isn't going away. Once these coins pop open, once the possibility is there, once the dollar signs are there and it's possible for people to make money, then there's really a lot of economic incentive for people to cause disruption. That's why we're seeing so many crap ICOs that are just flooding the marketplace, and it's really difficult to find the good ones that are existing. When we do find those good ones, then that's why we're amplifying that information even louder, right? Because everyone is just throwing money everywhere. Everyone is throwing up a website. And now in this situation with the miners can just start mining any coin that they want, pump that coin, sell that coin, and then convert all of that wealth back into Bitcoin. And looking over coin.dance.com and taking a look at these blocks over here, we can see up in this top of this blue bar up here that while the SegWit 2X signaling was very, very strong, it has decreased. As of today, it is much lower than it has been traditionally over the course of the past 1,000 blocks. Of the past 144 blocks today, it's less likely that there's as many miners who are just signaling for SegWit 2X. And if we pop into the actual signaling, we can see here that while the emerging consensus has dropped, we still have SegWit 2X signaling through lots of the past blocks that we can see here in this history of Bitcoin blockchain. And then this is then matching what we're seeing as SegWit futures. The SegWit futures continuing to drop, but I'm sure after a lot of people lost all this money and this dropped so dramatically, there's a huge economic incentive to keep this alive for these miners and to keep this money flowing in. And I guess it's going to be really interesting to watch the futures continue to increase or decrease as the miner support continues, and as we get closer to the very contentious hard fork. And so there's a lot of people out there, and I guess turning over to the cryptos news group, a lot of people are part of this group over on Facebook. It's a great group run by great people, but in this group there's a lot of very pro Bitcoin Cash folks. And so we have this one person who's posting this one image, says, will the real Bitcoin please stand up? And that Bitcoin Cash has almost doubled in the past 2 days as Bitcoin has tumbled. BCH is gaining as traders who are disappointed with the suspension of the so-called hard fork or split may view Bitcoin Cash as an alternative. And so this person is quoting something from Bloomberg. And so, Bloomberg is definitely speaking to institutional investors and mainstream audience members. Is Bloomberg really speaking to people who understand Bitcoin and blockchain technology in terms of promoting Bitcoin Cash as the ultimate Bitcoin, right? So Bloomberg is very closely associated with Wall Street, very closely associated with traditional financial organizations. And if Bloomberg and traditional financial organizations are telling us that Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin, then that sort of seems as if it's a little bit of an orange flag, if you ask a lot of people. So there's a lot of people that are just through this group who are just pumping Bitcoin Cash, who are just saying "I told you so" simply because Bitcoin Cash has been increasing so recently and getting all these other people to buy Bitcoin Cash at the top. It seems really dangerous to me for people to be purchasing at the top. We don't know where the top is. We don't know if it's going to go to, much higher, $10,000. We don't know if it's going to go to $1. We do know that it has steadily been increasing. At some point of all this increasing, that we know that markets go up, we know markets go down. Bitcoin Cash, like Bitcoin, is a market, but where it's going to land on any given day, we just don't know. Knowing that it's increased so dramatically from 0.05 BTC per unit all the way back up to 0.21 BTC, Bitcoin in BTC, Bitcoin Cash per BTC price. Very, very risky, very, very interesting. Not sure where this is going to go, but one thing we do know is that we need to be very careful, very aware of fake news from the Bitcoin Cash holders. We have people like Roger Ver and lots of other people who are on a mission to promote the Bitcoin Cash price, to make the Bitcoin Cash price worth as much as possible, to either potentially flip Bitcoin or to even take that increased wealth and convert it into Bitcoin. It's really difficult to say. We don't really know what the reasons are, what the intentions are. We know that there's a lot of reason to believe that everyone involved loves Bitcoin. Everyone involved believes in Bitcoin, but everyone involved is definitely spreading a lot of different information, and all of this information is conflicting with other people, and there's sides on each of the aisle that just simply do not make sense. We know that with the Bitcoin Cash has a favoritism toward the miners, has a favoritism toward the centralization of the ASCII chip with the ant bleed ability for it to mine Bitcoin, or in this case now Bitcoin Cash, in a way where it gives the ASCII miners a competitive advantage in terms of the amount of energy that is that those miners are using, right? And so the miners have an economic incentive to mine Bitcoin Cash instead of Bitcoin. And then the miners have, it creates a power situation where the miners have an extreme level of power, since everything requires the vast majority of the miners' support to move forward without them considering all of the different constituents who are involved inside the Bitcoin ecosystem. So there's a lot of reasons there for us to question Bitcoin Cash and to question the decisions and the reasons why people are making those decisions behind Bitcoin Cash, because of what I feel are the legitimate concerns of the potential of centralization from the miners, of centralization of the existing miners, and then control of the blockchain through the corralling of just a few leaders of those central mining organizations to then push forward future code updates that maybe the rest of the world doesn't necessarily agree with. So, Roger Ver over here, again, just pushing the idea with his charts and his graphs that are just showing that the average Bitcoin transaction fee is relatively high. It's very, very high. No one likes paying these fees. If you're someone like me who actually uses Bitcoin, then you know that the Bitcoin fees are high, and the Bitcoin Cash transaction fees are much, much lower, extremely much lower compared to Bitcoin BTC. Now there's different things going on here in terms of the number of people who are using Bitcoin Cash versus the number of people who are using Bitcoin. There's the future developments of each of the systems. There's a centralization of each of the systems. But nevertheless, there are really good talking points for Bitcoin Cash. And, I don't think we can sort of deny that. What else do we have? Just lots of continuing talk of how Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin. A lot of continuing focus about how Bitcoin Cash is really meeting the needs of the cryptocurrency community, and a lot of bashing toward Bitcoin BTC, and really not creating any common ground in terms of the situation. So we have some people on Reddit trying to remind folks the last time that they trusted Roger Ver, and when he told everyone that we could all trust Mt. Gox before the Mt. Gox bankruptcy, and now we have Roger Ver just promoting Bitcoin Cash, just people looking at the history of that advice and the history of those decisions, and just really questioning who's creating the chaos. Who's creating a lot of this information that's separating people and pulling people away from each other? And then really asking who's the benefit from this chaos, and who has the ability to increase their position by all of this fear and uncertainty and confusion entering the market. And then that's going to be benefiting some people in this situation. Well, in the Mt. Gox situation, it probably benefited, everyone who wasn't worried continued to not being worried. The people who realized there was a major problem, those are the people who were probably able to take care of their situations, or had a better chance of taking care of their situations. And right now with the Bitcoin Cash, we really don't know where this is going. And I want to be very clear that while I think Bitcoin is the real Bitcoin, BTC is the real Bitcoin, this whole Bitcoin Cash situation is doing a great job at spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's a legitimate viewpoint to have, to not know what the outcome is going to be, to not know if there could be a black swan event, to not know if there could be some sort of situation that we don't foresee, which can really devastate our perception of reality, our perception of the blockchain industry, and the perception of our positions with our own personal portfolios. And so I guess getting a slightly deeper down into this situation, the dollar vigilante, Jeff Berwick, is someone who we follow. It's someone who we respect in terms of their understanding, their insight, their viewpoint into the community. And it seems as if for some time that people like, not just Roger Ver, and then, other YouTubers out there like Omar Bam, Crypto, a lot of other folks out there, but then also Dollar Vigilante, Jeff Berwick, who's really letting us, is really hammering in and letting us know that there's this war happening, that there's this war coming around Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash in terms of the market capitalization, in terms of the Bitcoin community, in terms of the Bitcoin name, in terms of the Bitcoin dynamics and of communication with the mainstream media, the rest of the world, the plethora, the layers of organizations, of governments, of institutions, of regulators all across the world that have engagement with Bitcoin, and so yeah, it's just very clear, it's very palpable, the level of trolling online, in the comments, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Reddit. And, you know, from my perspective as a digital marketing and technology professional, it's a little easier for me to spot when there's 3 different people who are copying and pasting the same information. And it gives me a credible insight into understanding that the Bitcoin Cash people are definitely paying money in order to manipulate the conversation, in order to steer the dialogue. And it's hard to really know who's telling the truth and who's sort of creating some of the chaos as a part of the situation. So so when we're reading these articles, we just don't know necessarily who to believe in terms of who's giving an honest opinion, not even necessarily truth, but who's giving an honest opinion that they believe something is true versus who's giving information just to distract the masses. And when they distract the masses, we got to keep in mind that it is possible to distract people with legitimate information, to discredit people with legitimate information illegitimately. And we just need to be mindful of that and just recognize that ultimately whatever's bringing people together is probably better information than information that's driving people apart. But at the same time, we just keep on going back to the fact that we just don't know. We can look at the markets, we can look at the technical analysis, we can look at the news, we can connect the dots. But even when we connect the dots, when all the dots, you know, on both sides have black spots, then who do we trust? When both sides have black marks and have made bad decisions or have associations that people find questionable, who do we trust in a world where both Bitcoins are tainted with misinformation, with false information, and with half-truths? And so I think it's really important that we just look at this, that we have awareness and we have intention of understanding the pieces that are happening. But unfortunately, I think it's important to recognize it's going to take some time for us to really understand who is giving the right information and who was giving information that was in our best interests, for better or for worse. So I guess I'm going to make a whole other video about this, just to let people know a little bit deeper into this side of the equation. But part of what's going on with the Dollar Vigilante and Jeff Berwick and the information that they're putting out into the world and some of the information that our subscribers have shared with us is just drawing attention to Blockstream and how Blockstream is a technology company founded by some of the core developers of Bitcoin-BTC, and how Blockstream is one of the main financiers of the core developers, supporting initiatives like Bitcoin Core, initiatives like Lightning Network, and other initiatives as well, including Hyperledger, which you may have heard of. And so what Jeff Berwick is saying, what a lot of people are saying who are pumping Bitcoin Cash and who are pushing Bitcoin Cash toward that world of centralization, toward centralization of the miners, toward the centralization of this large mining power. They're saying about Bitcoin-BTC, which is funded primarily by Blockstream, which owns some patents around Bitcoin and blockchain technology, that we have here several different companies who are invested in Blockstream. We've talked about this before, looking over here at crunchbase.com. And so some of these Blockstream investors are AXA. AXA, it might be on here in a couple different instances, sometimes as a lead investors in the strategic ventures and sometimes as not a lead investors, such as in the funding round, it was not a lead investor. But in the Series A, it was. And so there's just connections that are coming out from Jeff Berwick and the Dollar Vigilante, connecting Blockstream to AXA and AXA's leadership to world organizations that have control over the world, control over world decisions, connecting leaders around the world, governments around the world, to make decisions in closed-door meetings. Some of those meetings primarily being based around the Bilderberg Group and the Bilderberg organization. And so the leader of the Bilderberg, one of the leaders and chairperson of the Bilderberg organization, again, I'll make a separate video about this, just tying this all together. But this person was also a chairperson on AXA, and then AXA having a lead investment in Blockstream. That's how those dots are being connected. So a lot of people are trying to time the market. I don't want to time the market like this kid. Ouch. Because we don't know, is this the Bitcoin blockchain that this kid is standing on? Is this the Bitcoin Cash blockchain? But he's standing on it and is trying to time when he gets off of it. It doesn't turn out too well. And so ultimately, I don't want to be this kid. You don't want to be this kid. None of us want to be this kid. But none of us are a part of these organizations. None of us understand the real decisions or the real intentions that are happening out there. That's why a lot of people, there might be decisions just to buy all one coin or to sell all the other coin. Ultimately, it's critical that you're making decisions for yourself. It's critical that you're recognizing the risks and the advantages of Bitcoin, the risks and the advantages of Bitcoin Cash, the risks and the advantages of blockchain technology in general. Because what's happening here is that with Bitcoin and blockchain technology, this is the first time in history, with Bitcoin specifically, that we've been able to have peer-to-peer trust, that we've been able to transact value or messages across two people across the entire world without any middle person. And they can trust that that information or that value is going to be real. Now, if it turns out in the future that we can't fully trust Bitcoin or that we can't fully trust Bitcoin Cash, then that's going to be damaging to that technology. It's going to be damaging to the holders of those tokens. And we just can't be certain of any sort of black swan events. So, you just got to be careful. And so there's one person on Reddit, they're saying, don't be stupid like me. If you believe in Bitcoin, just buy and hold. If you don't, then don't. Leave buying and selling to the professional day traders, and just buy and hold. So if you believe in Bitcoin, just buy and hold. If you don't, then maybe why I don't know why you're buying in the first place then. But it doesn't matter if it's the Bitcoin or the Bitcoin Cash. Be careful about just buying it because you're hearing about it in the news. You have all of these people in the groups up here who are just saying, see, I told you so, and making these other people self-conscious that they didn't purchase in. These people are now purchasing in with fear, and they're also purchasing in when Bitcoin Cash is now very, very high. What are the chances that this Bitcoin Cash price drops down 10% from the high when it could just be buying and holding, dollar cost averaging? It's all very, very risky. People, helping other people lose their money. And so I guess I don't know what else to say. I guess you just need to have awareness of the situations, have intention of understanding these situations with deeper meaning. Be mindful about selling 100% of your position. Be mindful about buying into 100% of any one person's philosophy, and just recognize that in this world of blockchain technology, where we can't 100% trust anybody, and at the same time we're seeking to 100% trust everybody, that we really want to have diversification in our positions, and we really want to have an awareness that any one of these technologies can falter. Any one of these technologies can fail us. And for these technologies to be successful, we each need to take personal responsibility for ourselves. We need to each take personal responsibility for understanding our situation and not simply being told what to do, not simply just accepting the information that we're seeing repeatedly on Facebook over and over and over again, and just defining our own rules, defining our own plan, and then being able to stick with that plan without being emotionally manipulated through trolls and marketing and advertising and emotional manipulation. All right, everybody. So that's all I have to say about all of that. That's a lot of information. If you want to check out any of those links that we reviewed in this video, feel free to check those out in the show notes listed either over on Steemit or our website at mintingcoins.com. We are looking to continue to bring you information on both sides of the situation, giving you all sides of the facts, helping you make your own decisions. And part of the way that we're able to do that with contributions from subscribers like you. So if this video helped you in any way or was interesting for you to listen to, please consider liking this video, comment, leave your thoughts, leave your questions in the comments box below. If you can contribute any donations or any assistance or are able to become a member at mintingcoins.com, it is greatly appreciated to help us get the things that we need to be fully operational and really delivering high quality content. I can't wait to get the equipment that we need in terms of the computers and the editing, and just provide an increasingly awesome experience for you to help bring this information to you and bring more people together. All right, so with that being said, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening to me ramble as we go through a lot of this information. It's really, really interesting, and I guess we're halfway through this novel, and it's going to be really interesting to see what we learn in the chapters to come. So with that being said, until next time, I'm glad that together we are minting coins.